Nothing to record, however.
No, but it is after starting time.
We're here. Echo.
Sounds like there's several of you there.
There we go.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Great. Just a minute or two of technical difficulties.
Yeah, is that man?
Mitchell?
Thanks. Okay, is everybody here? Where'd Ted go? Oh, there you are. What is that, sushi? Very good.
That is walking in.
Actually, that was dinner many months ago. We cooked that up. No, yeah, 1, 2.
Hi, everyone. We've got Mitchell and Dave O'Shea from TG Miller with us. They're going to go over the plans. We have big plans on the table, and Mark have you found them?
Yeah, I found them and I will share my screen in just a second.
That would be great.
Host disabled. Who's the host? Is it
I think it's Blake.
Blake? I'll go.
Well, it's I, because I started the meeting.
Oh, can you let me share?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how to do that. I have to make you a co-host, I think.
Or you can
handle
simply trust me and turn sharing on for everyone.
If I knew how to do that, I might do that.
Security toward the left on the bottom.
Okay, I'm the co-host. I got it. That's all we needed. Thank you. All right. Let's see if that works. Wow. Oh, it did my whole screen, but that's okay. Is that all right? I can zoom in if we need.
Oh, that's great, but I think we wanted to talk about the crosswalk first, but that's cool. We can do.
Is this all one? It's not all one PDF?
There's another file.
Okay.
That's the crosswalk.
Okay, let's do the crosswalk first. I'll download that one and share it. Wait, this one also says, oh, I see crosswalk. Okay.
Yeah, they're the same title, but the ending being different.
How's this? All right, I think we're ready.
Yeah. Did the crosswalk plans to distribute, did you guys already look at those as a group?
Yes, but we haven't. We wanted to flush out some feedback, I
Okay.
believe, with you guys. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't, I think, do you guys remember that Leslie said something about the mailbox, that she was afraid that it went right into the mailbox?
I mean, the mailbox can be moved.
Right,
It needs to be moved.
right.
We can start from the beginning and go all the way through it. Okay.
That'd be great.
So our surveyors came out, they surveyed everything. We then took a look at that versus what the town was trying to achieve and DOT regulations. We did reach out to Valerie with DOT before we started to make sure we were all on the same page. And she was great. Now we have our thoughts on paper. We wanted to get the town's approval on the crosswalk and then circle back with Valerie, submit for the actual permit. And then from there, we can figure out the construction side. But so how we got here, my understanding with this is the town desires to put a crosswalk from the bus shelter park on the east side of the road to the town hall entrance on the west side. With 96 being a state highway, you have to get a state permit. The state has a bunch of regulations, including stopping sight distance, sizes of the crosswalk. And then there's the general ADA standards that also apply. So when reviewing all that, what we came to was we couldn't make the crosswalk directly perpendicular with the road. Generally, you want to be perpendicular with the road and the shortest path as possible. Due to the existing walk location on the east side at the bus shelter and the driveway location, we just couldn't make it come across without having to make a lot of driveway modifications. So trying to be cost sensitive, we're proposing a slightly skewed crosswalk. We're hoping DOT will be okay with that. It's not, maybe it's close to a 45, but it gets everyone across the street in a safe manner. We were able to keep the existing driveway width. That was one of the other items we looked at, was maybe shrinking where the driveway comes up to the road. We felt that wasn't probably the best route, just being a municipal, semi-commercial setting. There could be a lot of traffic coming in and out depending on meetings. So DOT has regulations on how wide the driveway could be, and decreasing that we felt probably wasn't the best approach here. It is very wide where it meets 96B. But to get that smooth radius that DOT wants, that's the width it'd have to be. The width back further into the parking lot, I believe it was around 26 feet. I'm not 100% sure on that. And bringing that straight out to the road and then getting that smooth radius needed for larger vehicles, it just wasn't gonna work. Which if DOT doesn't like the skew, we can look at that further, but we are trying to minimize the disturbance here to try and keep costs down. So the proposed design relocates the mailboxes, just one of them north, which it may end up impacting both temporarily. And then it relocates the existing TCAT sign, and then a new crosswalk sign gets installed at both sides about 6 feet prior to the crosswalk. And then 2 additional signs get installed further out, almost 500 feet on 96B. The 4 crosswalk signs would be installed and supplied by DOT. The striping would be done by DOT. So the only construction that we're aware of the town would be having to perform is the ramps themselves. On the bus stop park side, looking at the photos and from site visits, the asphalt path over there didn't look like it was in the best condition. So we took all that out and went all the way back to the concrete for the bus shelter and brought that to the road edge. And then there's a cast iron detectable warning strip that would get installed. It's roughly, we don't have a length on the drawings, but it's roughly 5.5 feet wide.
The crosswalk or
The approach on the east.
Yeah, I see 5.5 feet actually.
okay.
The length, it's probably just over 15 feet or so. And we were proposing concrete.
And when you say the town is responsible, so we find a concrete,
So the town is contracted with TG Miller to produce bid documents for
Right.
public bid for both of these projects.
right?
I believe the scope had these as one project, being both concrete work. One of the items we wanted to discuss was the potential, if there's interest in your highway department doing these 2 curb ramps. Because it's a little bit of sidewalk and then a little piece on the entrance side. So, and it's relatively easier flat work. So we'd be open to meeting with, I believe, is it Keith?
Keith.
To see if this is something they would want to tackle, or it's your decision. We just wanted to throw that out there to see.
Okay, so, but there's also a lot of concrete that's gonna happen for the,
Correct.
so we could potentially find a concrete person to do both?
Yeah, if you want to bid the crosswalk piece, we would put them as one package.
Okay, or two, or,
We could do two.
okay, I think I get you.
Yeah, we could definitely do two. It's pretty small scope, just the crosswalk side to put that by itself and go through the public bidding and everything.
Okay,
I'd recommend putting them together, just there's prevailing
Yep.
wage, there's the certified, there's just a lot more, it's
Plus, we
easier to
just-
put
yes,
together.
agreed,
But if you'd like to split them out, we definitely could.
okay. It's an option, cool.
So just to kind of describe what we came up with here. On the east side, it's pretty much just a sidewalk. It's sloped at 1.5%, so that's your typical sidewalk drive lane slope. So not really, can't really feel that walking on it. And then going toward the road, it's roughly 2%, so relatively flat. On the west side, it's kind of a mix between a ramp and a sidewalk. And one of the things that we have to keep in mind here is plows coming at that. So you really shouldn't come up, even though it's more beneficial drainage wise. You either stay level or decrease your grade so the plow doesn't hit that. Due to the driveway sloping away from the road so quickly, we actually had to lay this down, meaning it slopes away from the road. So drainage wise, most sidewalks, you don't want the water draining onto the sidewalk, but just because of the circumstances here, there really wasn't a way to get away from that. With the road being crowned toward it, then also having to tie in to the driveway approach. So from the road, it goes down, one side's 2% and then one side's 5%. So it's gonna slightly feel like a ramp. And then it comes to a landing that's 1.5% designed to shed water off of it. That's required to turn. So relatively flat, but sloped to drain the water. And then that landing then comes down to the driveway apron. And then all that's filled in with concrete. So essentially it's roughly one side's 9.5 in width, the other's 11.5 at the corner. And then there's a little bit of grading and reseeding to tie everything back into a decent slope that's mowable and maintainable. We did look at what it would take to bring the driveway up to meet that 1.5% cross slope and to really make an accessible path from there all the way to the entrance. And that requires a lot of rework of the driveway apron. And our understanding was this was a very cost sensitive project, so we were trying to keep this as small as possible. In the future, when you go to redo your parking lot, we could definitely be engaged to try and look at making this more of an accessible path between the two ramps. But at this point, due to cost, we're keeping it really small to this ramp, meeting the ADA requirements within the highway right of way to get people to the crosswalk and across.
Ted, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's a very basic question. Why was the decision made to put the crosswalk north of the park entrance as opposed to south of the park entrance where you could have gone straight across from grass to grass?
I believe it's because of the bus shelter.
Yeah, our understanding was the desire to tie the bus shelter to the crosswalk to get between the existing TCAT stops.
Well, that's true, but let's put it this way. You either have to cross the park entrance, which is very low traffic, or you have to cross the town hall entrance, which is very low traffic. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. The project would be much simpler on the south side of the park entrance, because then it crosses right over to the basically the memorial area. You're gonna have to cross something somewhere.
I think this is what the town asked TG Miller in the initial scoping conversation. I think this is what we asked TG Miller to do.
Well, that's why I said it's a very basic question. Why would you do it the hard way? That, you know,
Yeah, we can definitely look at that, but we did not look at that with the survey and this design as mentioned, because it was already predetermined during the initial scoping meeting. The bus shelter was kind of the key to getting people across and starting there.
I think that's what we intended.
Yeah.
Well, the bus shelter was in fact the focus, but I don't remember, accessing the bus shelter from the other side of the road. I don't think it was really, when in my mind at least, it wasn't linked to crossing on the north side of the entry to the town hall. But where does the TCAT bus stop on its return from the north? Is it in fact where you've got the landing shown for the crosswalk here?
I believe that's where the kids get off the bus. Yeah.
So it makes sense from a transit perspective that the crossing be there.
is there actually a marked bus stop on that side at all?
There's a TCAT sign on the plans.
I'm trying to remember. I know there's a TCAT sign on the east side of 96B. I don't remember any signs on the west, but I've raised my point.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, there's definitely a TCAT sign on the west because our surveyor grabbed it.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Zach confirms there's a TCAT sign right behind the mailbox existing now.
Who looks?
So from a transit perspective, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I believe with the existing asphalt walk too that was the primary focus because that was already where an unmarked crosswalk was being performed essentially, with the bus shelter already bringing people to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely hear you on it may be easier to cross further south. We can definitely look at that if you guys wish us to do that.
I mean, I recall the impetus being, getting from the town hall to the other side of the road, with programming happening in both places.
Right, which has nothing to do with the bus shelter. And in fact, if it's south of the entrance, it's more direct from town hall right into the driveway where they'll keep on walking.
In terms of crossing from the town hall to the park, this crosswalk is kind of out of the way. So it makes the most sense from a transit perspective in terms of where people get on the bus and where people get off the bus on the return, and not so much in terms of connecting the town hall to the park and the bus stop on the east side. So there's trade-offs.
Yeah, well, we can go back and take a look at that southern entrance and see if there's any constraints that flag right away. And if not, we can discuss that further. I was not at the initial scoping meeting, so this was my take from working with Don D, but I can talk with Don D and we can look at that.
Kind of too bad you've gone this far, but that's where we are.
Okay.
But I'd kind of like to know what the others feel about it, because if everybody feels like this is the best approach anyway, then there's almost no point in going back and revisiting it.
I think having the crosswalk where the bus stop is is the place that makes the most sense so people could get off and then cross. So to me, this is the logical location.
Although I don't know how hard would it be to move the bus stop to the front, to the south side of the town hall entrance.
Moving the bus stop south could potentially cause slight distance issues.
Okay.
Because
Gotcha.
either location, the town hall entrance to the north, you'd be looking south. So you'd have to be far enough back that it wasn't in that site triangle, which you're very constrained, I believe,
Okay.
on that side. And then the park side, similar, you'd be having to look past it. I'm not tremendously familiar with what else is on the south of the park entrance, but it'd have to be set back far enough to not be in that site zone. I'm not sure if the town put that in back in the day or
You mean the
TCAT,
sign?
the bus stop itself, the
Oh, the bus
shelter.
stop. Yeah, TCAT put it up.
It was the obvious place to put it because if it was on the other side of the driveway, it would impinge on Livia Vent's property.
Mm-hmm. The existing bus stop is not the problem. It's the other one, the sign side, which has no shelter. When the return from the north. If the crosswalk were on the south side of the park entry, it would make sense for the bus stop to be also on the south side of the town hall entry, which means moving it from the north side of that driveway to the south side of that driveway. Is there some reason why that would be undesirable?
Would it shorten the crosswalk by getting it, have a more direct?
Yeah, but
Pro-
basically, it could be practically perpendicular if it were on the south side of the driveway.
I'm going to say something.
Excellent.
Thank you. This is great because it makes it ADA accessible. Obviously, the driveway has a slant. That would be problematic to a degree. But that is kind of the scope of this project, is adding to that. It will allow people to get off the bus that have accessibility issues.
Right.
The other thing is the landing on this side, and I'm not trying to downplay the importance of that landing, but I think we both know that most people will skip that. And it is absolutely just a formality for the DOT.
Yeah, you're not incorrect with that. People always take the shortest distance, and yeah.
What was it, Desire routes or
yeah,
Desire Pass?
but any marked crosswalk requires ADA on both
Oh,
sides.
no, I'm not trying to take
Yeah,
away from that.
no.
I get it. I've been through the DOT paperwork. I've actually looked through this because I wanted, whatever, doesn't matter. I think, I'm just curious, like, sure, the smalls children will use that, but in general, I think it just helps more of a suggestion that it's there. So part of it is like, do we lean more towards, yes, it's an excellent direct path from the bus, especially if it's littles getting off the bus there, you follow the path. Otherwise, I mean, it's realistically, it's going to be free for all forever.
So what are you saying, Zach? That people getting off the bus, just the return bus from Ithaca, would not follow this pathway to the parking?
Oh no, they might, they probably will. I don't know. It depends on how you feel about walking. It's kind of enjoyable to walk through a crosswalk. I mean, it's like what's
Yeah,
the hopscotch? Be
yeah.
one.
So what are you saying? I'm not catching what your point is about the shortest path and it not being this pathway.
I don't really have a point. Besides, I think this lends more to ADA accessibility.
You don't think you think it would be harder to do an ADA accessible approach on the south side of the park entry?
I mean, are you getting are they moving it's a bus. A bus can stop anywhere. So it's not like a huge issue where it gets put. It's just nice if it is crappy weather and you're underneath the awning and, you know.
Right. No, I'm not, I don't think any of us are talking about moving the covered bus stop from where it
No.
is. But if you move the sidewalk south of the park entry, but leave the bus shelter where it is, it just means that the crosswalk is not from the shelter to cross the street. It's from the park entry to go across the street, and you have to cross from the in order to go across the street. If you were to if you were to arrive on the bus on the return trip from Ithaca and get dropped off on the south side of the driveway to the town hall, you would cross the highway perpendicular, end up on the south side of the driveway for the park, and then you're going to be working your way up the park road anyway to your car, generally speaking, because not too many people are going to be. Well, I mean, if even from an ADA perspective, and the people who are going to be using the bus shelter probably not walking there or taking a wheelchair to that bus stop. They're going to be coming by car. So they will have parked in the parking spot, gone to the bus shelter, or from whence they will, board the bus. And being dropped off on the south side of the park entryway is not in any way out of the way for them to access their cars than it was for them, getting on the bus in the morning, going the other way.
Mhm. If I could add, the reason there's no bus shelter on the west side of the road is that nobody gets on there going south. They only get on going north, unless they happen to want to take a bus from Town Hall to the trailer park on South Danby Road. It's just unlikely.
Okay.
Right, no.
Just give me a second. The one question I have relating to all this, relating to design, sorry to bulldoze shit. We already have a thing that's designed. It can be brought to the DOT as is, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of hours, money put in to design this already, I don't know what it is. I'm guessing it's more than that. Does it make sense also financially to use this because redoing it is taking costs out, or is this a fairly easy thing to do since they're pretty straightforward? I'm not saying easy. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't worry about our fee on this. We're working with you to come up with a product that you want.
Cool.
So I'd have to talk with Don D, like, cause I wasn't in the original scoping. If we missed our side and went off the wagon and didn't look at the south and that was in the scope, that's on us. And we'll fix that. One thing I do want to bring up quick though, if we do move that to the south, and that I believe that is a stop controlled entrance to the park, you now need a crosswalk across that park entrance. That's an MUTCD requirement. You may end up with curb ramps on both sides of that then. It's relatively flat, but that is a requirement. Any stop controlled entrances has to be within a crosswalk.
So it's interesting that TCAT puts on Google Earth, which is, and anybody's guess here, that it's that TCAT has the bus stop on this side at the monument, which is right.
It's actually right the other side of the driveway. Our surveyors grabbed it when they surveyed. It's actually right by the mailboxes.
This one, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So are we suggesting here that you just take a look at coming into where the monument is across? And I don't know if there's room. I don't know. We're not
Yeah,
gonna
we
move
can
the
look.
monument. If you could, that. I don't know how much room is over there. I don't know if that would work, but you're saying that I believe the entrance to the park, it looks like Google is calling it Daisy Lane. So there would have to be a ramp or another crosswalk across.
I believe there's a
Daisy.
stop sign over there. And any
Come
stop
out of Daisy Lane?
to cross Daisy Lane, the park entrance. North-south direction, if the crosswalk was to move south of it. If the crosswalk was to move down here,
Yeah,
because there's a stop
Mhm.
sign, this now has to be in a crosswalk.
That is not a town road, it is a driveway. If there's a stop sign on it, Is
Yeah,
is it
it's
private?
because it's a stop controlled intersection technically, even though it's a driveway. Because there's a stop sign, MUTCD requires it to be a crosswalk.
Well, why is the requirement if the sidewalk, if the crosswalk is on one side of the street and not if it's on the other side? Because I
Because we're
mean, it's a
not going
stop control.
Not going across the stop controlled intersection,
But it's not an intersection, it's a driveway.
but it is an intersection because it's a stop sign entering a state highway.
Do you think
So
that's,
you're
is
assuming,
that stop sign a private sign or a state sign?
It should be a state sign within a state right of way. But the fact that the sign's there
Yeah, okay.
makes it a stop controlled intersection. I've gone through this with commercial apartment buildings where the entrances, you know, just as long as there's a stop sign there, they consider that a stop controlled intersection.
Can I?
And you might not need curb ramps, it's relatively flat, but that would have to be assessed and looked at.
Mhm,
Um,
Yeah.
and there's less room, looking at the zoomed in with the contours, there's a culvert pipe.
right.
And that may have been why the original discussion was to the north because of that culvert pipe and where that ditch is, that might require extension. If some sort of ramp is required there, where the north, it's already flat, the pipe was already extended, it looks like, for the original asphalt walk. Like I said, we're happy to look at the south and see what constraints, you know, quick desktop look to see if we flag anything and we can forward, you know, our response and what we see before we do anything further back to the committee. That's not an issue.
That sounds like a good place. I was gonna suggest, since I know we have two separate things to look at and we're halfway through the meeting, maybe that's a good point to leave that at. And you can look up and you can get back to us and see if you think there's another option that's worth exploring, or if it's not, there's a reason maybe Dondi didn't include it or something like that. Is there anything else about this project that you wanted to talk about or get feedback on?
The only other thing I wanted to bring up, there's a note on the sheet, and I did ask this to DOT in my initial email to them, about RFBs, the strobe lights. I know there was a desire to potentially put them here due to the speeds of the road. And with emailing with Valerie, she said there's 3 scenarios. The town can perform a study, purchase them. The DOT can perform a study and purchase them. And then I believe the third was they can do a study and determine that they're not required. So knowing that there was a tight budget on this, we are proposing to just note to recommend to DOT to perform the study, because they would be under their maintenance and jurisdiction anyway. So we wanted to put that on the plan to say, we recommend you perform a study for those, and also for a nighttime overhead light. Just being a higher speed road, especially if people are speeding, making sure people are visible in that crosswalk would be a big issue. And we could definitely look at that, but again, it'd be under a DOT light, DOT road. We feel recommending to them to look at that, because they ultimately would have to agree with our study. So they're going to be doing their own little analysis anyway. So that was our suggestion, just to recommend they look at those 2 items.
okay, can I just confirm here?
Yep.
There was 3 options. One was the town doing the study and then purchasing the lights, the DOT doing the study, purchasing the lights, or the third one was
The third one, I believe, was them doing a study
them being
DOT.
DOT, okay, so 2.
and determining they weren't required.
Oh, gotcha.
Is there anything, I think that's fine for that to be the course, is to let DOT look into it. Is there anything about this plan that we need to change if they came back and said, yes, Like, would they need to tear something up?
They would more than likely no. They make solar options that are in wireless that are
Okay.
pretty available, and it's probably the DOT standard. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a little bit since I've done one with DOT because they typically do them on their own.
Okay.
Good question, though.
Yes.
It's ready to move on.
Okay.
All right, I will, let's see, stop sharing for a second and get the other file. Oh, sorry. All right. Let me scroll back up. Okay.
We can probably start all the way in the last sheet, I believe.
Oh, last. Oh, I see. There's only two. Okay.
So I'll start off by saying this plan sheet, these plans are not as refined as the other. There's a lot more, I want to say customization available here, depending on how the town wants to proceed. There's some items we had to do some field work on here and I wanted to get them after this meeting. So I was trying to be cost effective and do them when we're here. So some things might slightly change. But I can go over what we found, kind of what our design constraints are, and then where we have wiggle room, if that works for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So the big thing here for design constraints is a ramp. You're limited to 8%. We design everything to 7.5%, little wiggle room for construction tolerance. Cross slope, you're limited to just over 2%. We limit everything to 1.5%. You're allowed 30 inches rise, I believe, before you need a 5x5 landing. And then you also need a landing anywhere there's a turning movement that also meets the 5x5 and the cross slope requirements that we use 1.5% in each direction. So where that's problematic in the existing conditions is up near the door. And we're going to confirm this today, but we believe the existing slope is over that 1.5%. And with the pillars, columns located there, you need to have a 5x5 landing outside of where there's obstructions for someone to make that turning movement. And the pillars and the downspout shift that a little bit so that landing actually grows and has to get bigger to incorporate that, to have that 1.5% in each direction. So that's why the landing is definitely bigger than it is now. The other item up here I want to flag that I still have to review is the location of the, I believe there's an opener on that door, correct?
No.
No,
There
that was
isn't
something I
yet.
had to confirm. You plan on putting an opener on it?
Yes.
So that's something we'll want to incorporate in this. The button has to be acceptable within, there's a certain clearance zone and cross slope. And putting it behind one, go
So
ahead.
would it be acceptable if it were on the column, or is that?
Yeah, that was my exact thought, is it has to be mounted to the column to make sure you have that space. But between the column and my worry was it was located on the building, and the column would restrict that, so.
Right. No.
What we can do in this project, if the opener is something you're gonna handle on your own, is we'll just put conduit in the new concrete and leave it. So there's a place to run the wires in the future. And then right in the ground. The other option is you could do it from the ceiling and down, but aesthetically it probably would be nicer to come up, not to see it coming down the column, but that's your choice. We can either put it in the new pour or you can handle it later up visible above grade.
Almost certainly a hollow column that we could run the wires in.
They're a structural column, actually, I believe, for the roof. I'm not sure if they're hollow. We could look at the old prints for that.
I think it might be easiest to bring it from above just because there's a chase that goes above.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Is it are you familiar, Zach, with the drawings, whether there's any space between the structural center of those columns and the the outer shell.
The structural center of the columns in the outer shell. No, I mean, have I tapped on the post to see if it's hollow? Sorry, I'm a little confused.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be there's something, it's sometimes like like a 3-inch wide pipe column in the middle, and then the shell, what looks like a column is just a shell around it.
Mhm.
So
I
there's
don't know.
space. Or it could be structurally just a hollow column, because like that too would work depending on what the material of the column is. That's not a wood column, I don't believe.
Could also run the wire along the back of it and then it would be mostly invisible, even if it came from the top.
Yeah, so for our needs, if you're gonna plan on bringing it not from below, then we won't put anything extra in for that. So that was great to confirm you're already thinking ahead on that one.
Not only then, we're at the point where the installation of the opener was already authorized, and we had hoped to get it done last year, but it didn't happen. But the authorization to go proceed with that is already in place.
Okay. So to stick with the ramp here, we brought the ramp along the building to the proposed ADA stalls. There are some options with the ramp. Right now, we have it tight to the building.
I
Which
can't
would-
do that.
Okay, that was gonna be one of my, I don't prefer that method. Just with water splashing and it's old wood siding, and I'd prefer to put a gap.
Right. That's what we intended, was to have it be at least, I think 2 feet would get it beyond the drip.
I can take a look before we leave, but my initial thought was 2 to 3 feet. We just have to confirm that it doesn't conflict with the septic system.
I don't think that's going to be an issue, but it does kind of, the stone enclosure for the planting might have to get pushed out a little bit in order to accommodate the ramp if you get it away as much as 3 feet from the building.
Okay. So yeah, we would be tight where it is, where the leave it stairs right now. And then as we turn the corner along the front of the old portion, we would go a little bit further to make sure there's a gap there. I think that's the better design and long-term option. Just end up with a little 2 to 3 foot alleyway.
Yeah. And that's a French drain there along the drip.
So that's really the only big constraints on the ramp portion, besides you're required to have railings on both sides.
Gonna ask that.
Do you want, they make a vinyl coated steel, they make galvanized? Is there a preference on what material your railings are?
Is
Color?
Can you powder coat the galvanized?
You can. I believe you can.
What would you recommend?
Yeah.
I personally like the vinyl coated.
Okay.
It's grippy.
Yeah, that's great.
Powder coat, it's smoother finish.
What's the average? Like, does it ship that after decades?
I don't know, honestly. I know I've used it a lot on trails.
Okay.
It's very similar to what you see privacy fences vinyl coated,
Yeah.
similar, and that lasts quite a while.
Absolutely.
And that's a very flexible material too.
Okay.
So
Well, I was a little disappointed. I used vinyl coated coil stock on window trim, and after about 25 years was as long as it ran before it started to wear through and come off. Vinyl turned out not to be final. I kind of wonder about the durability of the vinyl. Is it galvanized underneath? So when it ultimately fails, it could be painted?
I believe it is galvanized or zinc coated underneath. Because the field touch-up kits that they have to do, for the field welds, they do have to prep. Then they paint on the touch-up vinyl, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
But you can get that in multiple different colors usually too. I mean, black being the standard. Or you can go with a galvanized stainless look as well. pretty common as well, so. It's really a choice on the committee, which way you want to go. Cost wise, the vinyl is probably a little bit more, a little more field finishing. Because I believe underneath the vinyl, it's very similar to just the regular galvanized.
Mhm.
But you don't get that shine, the sun hits it, it's a little grippier with your hands, so.
But the shine goes away within a year or so when with galvanized steel. But what about stainless? It's just totally different league in terms of price.
Stainless is pricey, it's hard to weld, so you're gonna be limited on
Mhm.
pay a premium for your installer probably. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure on how well stainless holds up to salt. And this will be salted for winter, so I know it's one of the more corrosion resistant, but I'm not 100%. I would have to look that up personally. I don't have that off the top of my head.
You'd probably almost have to have it fabbed on site and have someone with a TIG show up and do
Yeah,
it.
it would definitely be more labor intensive because they would be visible welds as well. Where a vinyl coated, you get a little bit of hidden with the vinyl touch up.
Yeah, you can always grind it if you want to. Yeah, the existing ramp rail is steel, and I don't know whether it was ever galvanized, but it did rust off at the where it meets the ramp because of the salting over the years. And we finessed it a few, no, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago at this point by installing inserts into the inside the existing pipe, um, and then plastic sleeves to cut out the bad part, and you can't hardly tell that it was replaced, but it did not last more than 20 years.
But you're recommending the vinyl.
I've seen the vinyl hold up well.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
So this might be a dumb question, but what is this space here that I'm moving the mouse over? Is that?
Septic tank.
Septic.
That's
is
Well,
it
it's the
look-
planter, but the planter's over the two tanks there. There's a septic tank and the dosing tank.
I'm actually asking on
Mhm.
like in the plans, what are you intending it to look like on the ground? What is that designed as?
That is existing, not touching it
Not
in this
touching it.
project.
Yeah,
There you
the
go.
Yeah.
guard.
The
That's that
stone,
right.
stones make
Stone
it
surrounded, right. Stone
Yeah, well-
surrounded flower bed basically currently.
Okay.
And the dimensions of that, well, the eastern boundary of it corresponds to the location of the cover for the easternmost tank. And I don't know which tank is which. I think the one on the left is probably septic. But it's got that green cover over it. So the intention is to leave that alone pretty much. But you may end up having to move the rocks, as I say, a little bit to the north in order to get room for the ramp.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that design a little more if we are modifying or getting into that area. You might not have the rocks on the south portion because that could now tie right into the concrete ramp.
That's a
Uh,
thought. Yeah, because the ramp was going to be, above the rocks for most of that descent.
Correct. So, that was pretty much it for the ramp. For the stairs, we were proposing to do them roughly 6 feet. It's wider than the required, but it would look proportional.
Mm-hmm.
Ramp also 5 foot to 6 foot sidewalk is what people prefer, honestly. The minimum 4 foot, people don't like that. Doesn't create a lot of space for passing. So we always design to a 5 foot minimum. So the stairs, these drawings show it at 5. You may make them a little wider to account for the handrails. So essentially, you'll probably 6 feet of concrete with a 5 foot walking space.
Mm-hmm.
The next item that we're looking for direction from the committee here is what would you like to do with the rest of the area? We have the original concept, I believe, committee member or board members drew of,
Oh, that might have been me.
is it? Okay. It's kind of, On the west, we're taking a ramp out, so putting a raised flower bed or something along there would definitely help.
Mhm.
Because now we're gonna have siding that has to be repaired. It's not gonna look probably really pretty where the concrete comes off, they'll parge it. But I'm guessing some of that's probably wood behind that concrete as well, so they'll do a little bit of siding repair. But doing a raised bed there would definitely help with the concrete aesthetics, because we'll end up exposing the foundation wall over there with the ramp removal.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of a foundation you've got there either, because it's basically that's a slab floor. So it probably, well, you could look at the original engineering drawings, but you know, yeah, I don't think you're up against any wood with that ramp. It's concrete that it abuts, and it may come away cleanly. It was probably it was probably constructed after the building and not integrated into the concrete work of the foundation.
I think,
So-
Yeah.
yeah.
So would it have a curb then on this side to delineate the path from the bed, or would it just be flat into it?
If we do a raised bed, we could do a couple different items along there.
Mhm.
It could be a concrete curb, or either with or not with the sidewalk. It could be a stacked stone, it could be a retaining wall, landscape lots. It's whatever, you know, it's engineering wise, it's,
I was just thinking height wise, this side, obviously we're at elevation,
yeah.
pretty much level with everything else, but obviously it makes sense to have a retaining wall or something.
Well, the ramp itself is kind of gonna act,
Yeah,
so,
but the other side,
yeah, the building side, some sort of
Garden,
raise would
No, there's
probably
a-
help bring it down.
Yeah.
right.
Does
Right.
it make sense then to have a retaining wall or something, a concrete structure that slopes down and have this also be part of a bed, or is that going to be a different?
So right now the ramp is on this side now, correct? Yep.
Yes.
I think
So the ramp comes down to grade, so you're almost
Yeah.
at the grade here now.
Yeah.
You could do concrete, you could do, I mean, we threw grass in there, just obviously that's
Yeah,
the cheapest option.
absolutely.
There's a lot of options. It could be all concrete, you could have a spot for a bench, we could
That's,
step it, another lower raised bed, you could tier it.
yeah,
It's whatever you're looking at. I believe this side has a little bit of a garden, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
We could take a look and try and make this the same elevation and then tie it in to that. And we have a little bit of play between the edge of sidewalk in there. Grade wise, we just have to know what you're looking for final materials, and then we can look at maximum slopes for durability.
does it,
didn't I think Mariah's original drawing had the steps in two with a landing in between, so that the final descent would line up with where the ramp turns, but they didn't have a landing in between, rather than having just one flight from the top, from the approach to the entry door down to the drop. Well, in fact, what we had was a patio beyond the
Right.
ramp.
Yeah, Joel, I'm looking at this and thinking that this is nice because we could, have a flat area for a bench. It's surprising how many people sit
Yeah.
on that bench out there.
it also saves on fill. I mean, you're adding more. to
Right,
get the
right.
level up. The only thing that I would potentially is, instead of just curving this way, if it'd be possible, like make a delta or a mouth out of it.
Yeah, we could definitely open,
Yeah,
we were trying to constrain to at least the amount of curb change as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could definitely open that up and make it more inviting for sure. We could bring that curve right out
Yeah,
and it would be a lot wider, and depending on what you want to do, this is raised flower bed. This should all be concrete.
yeah.
We're
Yeah.
talking to the west of the walk. You could put a bike rack there.
Mhm.
So you're
This is
talking about
bench
making
there
that.
and bike rack over here. We have a lot of
spot.
possibility. We just need a direction. The committee and what you want to see, and then we can verify elevations and grades and
Not in this
we'll do a
area.
little bit more work here to make sure it's
Does it-
feasible.
I know I keep getting up. I'm gonna go check something out, because if this area, which area makes more sense to put a bench in?
I don't know,
I'm just gonna look at
you know,
the park,
I
I'm
have to
sorry.
say,
I'm
I really
visual.
like that we're coming out here because, you know, people can park here
That's gonna
and
say-
walk, and they're gonna walk over whatever this is.
I was just gonna say that, people are gonna cut that corner.
Yeah, they're gonna
anyway,
cut that
because
corner.
some more of the parking spots are to the left of
Right.
that path.
Right, so even bring this out, yeah, and having it be, but right now, I'm just gonna interject here and say that this curb is just horrible. And we've had one ambulance come and pick up a resident who misjudged that curve, so.
You mean the curb?
The curb.
Yeah.
So I see you have, you know, curb,
Yeah, if we flare the west side more, that's gonna be all flat at grade. So essentially
that
all
would
the
be
curb will come out and get replaced. At that,
fabulous.
Suppose-
Amen.
Suppose you just went straight out. Along the edge of the, instead of curving it to the east, if you just went straight out and had, sort of a giant flare, if you will.
yeah, we didn't go straight out because I believe the parking lot grade change, it was a little steeper on the west side and it gets a little flatter on the east. So we were going to that naturally already existing flat area. I believe that
Yep.
was our intent, Mitchell.
It
Yeah,
really is a considerable drop, which is a problem no matter what we try to do with any
Wait,
design we will entertain.
Settled on this as a placeholder.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's really smart.
Yeah, we can go straight. It's new construction. We can look at, we're looking for your feedback to where you want to go with this, and then we'll take that and verify that it works and send
Mhm.
their set to you and go from there.
I'd have a hard time believing anything we do down there wouldn't work.
okay, cool. Cause that curbing, yeah, it goes from 9 inches to, 2 inches, and 6 feet, it's.
Are you proposing to do any railing along the flat path? Like, I know we need to have railing on both sides of the ramp and on the steps. Is your design, because it's not really, doesn't say it here, would you propose any other railing?
Right now, we have the grade at 1.5%. So
You
it's,
don't need it.
Not-
almost
not really
flat.
Okay,
if you do a wall on the west side, you're naturally gonna have a barrier there.
yeah.
We can look at that. It
I'm
just
mostly
depends
just
on,
thinking of we get a lot of older people here,
Mhm.
and I don't know if it's paved, is that, it means it might be a little more slippery. I'm just sort of thinking through those elements.
There is a handicap ramp right next to
Right,
it, with a
right.
handrail
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who might be older and drive here
and get in.
and might use a handrail if it was there on the regular path. Just a thought.
I think having a bench is a good idea.
A lot of people use that bench.
A lot of people use that bench, and
Do they really?
I would suggest here, just because it gives you some buffer on two sides as opposed to being out
Where did you
in a
point?
loop. That's
right where the
Okay.
flat landing on the ramp was.
I mean, you could just square it out. on
Yeah,
your point.
yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense also, because then behind the bench is the
garden.
landing
Yeah.
to the.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll, be about yay high, so. Yeah, I like it.
The only downside is you can't see someone if you're waiting for them to come in, but you can see when they walk by and you can get up and
No, I don't think it'll be that
it's good.
high.
Cool.
I'm a little concerned about the side of the ramp. Well, the side of the walk, that is the ramp on one side. The east side, as you're walking out of the building, going down the stairs, when you get to the bottom of the stairs, how tall is the edge of the ramp next to you there?
Yeah.
Which is also the same on the other side, right? As a retaining wall for the planter. So, I mean, Mariah's version had like on a two or three steps down and then a flat area and then another two or three steps down farther out so that you were raising that area there adjoining up
That-
so that not such of a difference in elevation.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's roughly 2 feet. At the bottom of the stairs, the walk would be roughly 2 feet below the ramp turning area, which would be
Mhm.
completely encased in railing.
Right.
And then you could just put this flower bed on the other side about that height too, right?
Yeah.
Right. And you want you could
Yeah,
you could
you're
practically-
roughly, right now, where the bottom of the stairs is roughly, it's 2 to 2.5 feet below where we're thinking the landing will be.
Cool.
So if we do carry 2.5 feet down, or we can step that as well as we go, if we want to maintain 2 feet I mean, it's such a gentle grade, you probably wouldn't even, you might step one course if that.
I think this is great.
Do we need, would there be a railing? I'm doing it orange up there where the thing is there, because that would be a drop off
Yes.
to the grass,
Yes.
right? Okay.
We would
Well,
put a
except that
railing
how we
there.
putting
It'd be a
we
raised bed,
putting-
actually, based on what we've been talking
Would-
about.
But wouldn't the,
yeah, we want to raise bed. You wouldn't want grass down 2.5 feet. How the hell are you going to even
We,
get at
we,
it?
we put the bed flush with that.
oh, the bed would come up?
Yeah, and then the
Got it.
rest of
I
the
was
way,
picturing like a drop right there. Okay.
no, we
Yeah.
probably would keep the bed maybe 6 inches below.
Okay, that's fine then.
And then we carry that height roughly 2 feet along the whole western edge of the walk. So there'd be either integrated concrete or we could do retaining wall blocks.
Okay.
If you wanted that split face rock look, more natural look, we could easily do it with stackable concrete, or we could actually go natural stone. Might cost a little more, a little harder to source, something that stackable versus the concrete big box store you can easily get, so.
I don't like to look at that stuff, but the how wide is the actual planting area if you do? How wide is that bed?
Looks
30.
like it's 3 feet or something.
3
right?
feet.
I don't see any measurements.
It'd be roughly from the face 6 feet or so. So you probably have 4 foot of soil.
Ooh.
It's hard to-
If we go to a
if the,
six,
if the stairs are 6 feet, which we
yeah,
which
right now we have
should,
it drawn. I want to increase that to 5 or to 6. So yeah,
And
4 to 5 feet probably.
if we offset this too, we might have to lop off another foot there, so we might be thinking like 1.5 feet-ish. 1 foot even.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, and then you've got the depth of the edge of it, whatever that is, whether it's stone or a concrete curb. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking that it's going to end up with hardly any planting area inside this bed.
You don't have a ton of faith to make it beautiful though.
I mean,
Some grasses.
Strip of grass, so.
Yeah, we can also, we
native
can
grasses.
see what widths we end up with. If it makes sense to infill some of the areas with concrete so we get a wider area or something, we can do that as well.
Because I mean, I think you'd want a minimum of a foot of planting area if you're going to try to grow anything there.
Okay.
So is the intention, am I hearing that that raised bed would carry all the way to the end of the building? At the same
Yes.
height? Yeah. So as you're going out, and when you get to the bottom of the stairs, you're going to have something which is 2.5 feet high on your left. Correct?
Yeah, it'd be left and right till you get
Yes,
past.
that's true. Yeah. Until you get past the ramp, it's well, the ramp on the right side is a little bit lower because you're ramping down to the landing, right?
Yes, you're roughly 2 feet on the right, you'd be roughly 2.5 on the left.
2.5 from the left, right? So what about I don't know. I'm a little concerned. It's kind of a canyon-like area between the top of the landing at the entry and the point where you pass the ramp. And I liked Mariah's idea of putting a landing in the middle of that space and having a couple of steps at the end rather than having the whole flight of stairs just be one flight. Because it would raise that in-between area up.
Yeah, we can do that as well. I would propose probably putting them even with the ramp turning space, because then all your elevated concrete formwork ends in the same spot.
Oh, truly. And then the railings could just go to the end of that ramp and
Mhm.
that'd be, yeah.
We could definitely move, probably 2 or 3 steps or so and decrease that to maybe a foot.
Yeah, I think that would feel better.
I mean, you could also just move the entire set of stairs forward. No,
Yes.
Yeah, we could. You could have a lot
I'm just
bigger
gonna
landing.
think, like,
Yes.
cost wise, what makes the most sense?
Less concrete.
Oh, yeah.
So, but
Sure.
This is probably the most cost effective.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
that's why we
Yeah.
went with this as a placeholder.
Yeah, and I think it being 2 feet tall, like most people are over 4 feet tall. So, you know, it's not necessarily gonna read like a canyon.
You do not speak on behalf of short people, though.
I know.
Put an arborvitae in there. Right?
we could do, it wouldn't be a huge cost difference to put a couple treads further out.
This is gonna be more fabrication costs on the
Yeah.
handrails.
Material wise, it's not much different for the concrete.
Yeah.
You pay a little bit more labor for the formwork, and then I believe you would be, I'd have to look at the code if a railing would be required continuous. And I'm not tremendously familiar with what the stair landing size would have to be. We would need to get that flat landing in between the different flights. So we'd have to work all that in there, but we could definitely do that.
Do you think,
I was even saying about yeah, right. Well, the railing may not need to be continuous, but you would have 2 railings in that case as opposed to 1. And it might be easier to fabricate if they're all 1, wouldn't it?
yes. The only other thing I can think of is trying to stay, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Doing the flower beds,
Yeah.
potentially instead of stone, because that's gonna be expensive, and require to find someone that does stone. What about potentially doing dyed concrete? Or,
Or formcrete, where you've got what do they call it when they do there's a retaining wall on Spencer Street in Ithaca.
yeah, I mean, you could
Where-
stamp it with wood, you can stamp it with brick.
You're talking the curb or the flat work.
I'm talking the flower bed edges.
So we're only talking a foot to 2 feet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But you can do formwork with stone impression, if you will, without actually being stone. I think it's more attractive that retaining wall on Spencer Street is more attractive in my opinion than is the I forget what they call it, the concrete block with the struck surfaces where it's pretending to be something that it's not, but it not very convincing.
I'd like to send you back. You have a lot of notes. Uh, and let's maybe have a tentative meeting in 2 weeks. And then we can flesh out details, the details of what the materials all are gonna be.
Right.
And in the meanwhile, maybe we can have a field trip down to what was that, Spencer Street? Wherever,
Yeah.
look at some materials around, there's a material place right next to White Hawk. What's that place?
Oh,
TP work,
great, yeah.
Let's gather a little more information on getting down to the brass tack details
Yeah.
of what are we gonna use and send you guys to maybe look at those stairs, look at widening the sidewalk and putting the ramp away from the building. You guys have a lot on your plate at this point. 3 weeks?
We'll reach out
Excellent.
after we've
Very
gotten back
good.
into it.
Okay, very good.
But yes, if you focus on materials, that'll help us.
Okay,
And we'll
great.
make the dimensional and elevational changes and probably come back with some elevations superimposed on some pictures was my thought for bidding
Ooh.
documents.
Very good.
Was there, and I thought there was a little bit, couple more things yet to talk about, but there's, I'm guessing that there's really no need to extend the retaining wall for the planter beyond the end of the building, because you're going to have an elevation change that's going to be problematic if you try to carry it all the way to the curb. And are we taking off the table any thought of the patio, which had been talked about before, in favor of doing the grassed area?
I think we talked about this area being more of a patio with a bench.
Yeah, let us get elevations and everything figured out, and then the fine details on what the flat areas are material wise, we can figure that out at the next meeting.
Excellent.
It's really easy for us to say, instead of grass, it's
Right.
concrete or
Right.
something like that.
Probably not concrete, but yeah.
Is there any way, we didn't talk about this, but is there any way a flagpole could be integrated into the overall area design? I think about where it would go. That was one of the things I had proposed. I had put it in the area was now the planter, but I was taking the planter out.
There could definitely be a flagpole at the front of the building, probably on the west would be the better area. Due to the elevation difference, you're trying to persuade people not to walk there. You would have to know what you want to do though, because probably would your intention be to leave the flag up every day?
Yes.
We would have to put conduit and you'd have to put some lighting.
Right, you have to illuminate it. Yeah. Well, you probably could consider it illuminated, but virtue of the fact that you've got the light pole right there on the other side of the ramp. There's a light pole in the planting area, in that flower bed.
Yeah, we could definitely look at that. You'd have to know what size you want to properly size the foundation. Just let us know if that's something.
Who's gonna maintain that flag?
We already have a
Who's-
flag.
We have two flags.
I know.
We have two
maintaining
flags.
who's maintaining it now?
Yeah, we've got two flags. I hate to just, get this a little more complicated.
Yeah. No, the virtue of having a flag pole is it would give us room to fly other flags under the U.S. flag, which we don't much do, which we could do, but
Who would do that?
well, we would do it. We have a flag policy already that allows for other flags to be flown with some flags already approved to be flown if anybody asks to have them
Oh,
flown.
so you would come up here and put flags up?
The royal we.
Oh no, God would fall to the clerk, of course.
Have you talked to the clerk about this?
No.
Okay,
I think we got enough flags for now.
all right, I'm good. You guys will reach out. Reach out.
Is there, this committee meets kind of ad hoc, is that?
Yeah,
Okay,
Mondays at 11 works.
okay. Is there, we have what, 4 board members? 5, all of the board.
There's
Yeah,
5 on the board here.
the board is well represented here.
Okay, so there's no reason to try and hit one of these meetings prior to a board meeting. Or should we try and I mean, I don't know when we'll get everything sorted. I'd like to come back with more refined on what the flower bed would look like and stuff like that.
Sure.
I'm just trying to
I
beneficial
would
to
think
do
we
this
wanted more.
board meeting or
think-
ad hoc. You guys are fine.
We meet
On
every
the
2
fly.
weeks and there's so many of us on it. I don't think you have to worry about
Okay.
getting it in before a certain
Make
meeting.
it easy.
The 17th is a meeting and the 3rd is a meeting, so maybe that last week in February.
We might try and come back on the 17th for just the DOT plan.
Oh, okay,
Um,
so the 16th. Before that
Is-
board.
is- Yeah, is the Monday okay? Because that's what we're meeting now.
You know, Leslie and I are gonna be out of town on the 17th.
That's right, you are.
I am, well,
You're gonna be out of town on the 16th as well, are you not?
Yes,
I'm gonna be out of town both of those days too. I guess we have to talk about that.
okay. So it looks like you've got 3 board members who are not gonna be here on the 17th.
It's gonna be me and you, Joel.
Well, we could go the following week, the 23rd, right?
The 24th is a Tuesday, so we could do the 24th, and so we could meet on the 23rd.
Mexico.
okay.
Right, right.
23rd is good.
We can probably have the DOT. I'll probably send our thoughts prior, and
Very
then
good.
we can figure out how to proceed from there, and if we need to meet on the 23rd for the DOT portion.
Or else the next week. It's no
Yeah, I'd
way.
like to get the DOT
Yeah,
side permitted and done.
wonderful.
So,
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
problem.
Thank
I
you
have a
for-
set, I can't because I drew all over.
So,
I have a DOT set.
what were the bottom line? Where do we land?
They're gonna reach out, potentially meet on the 23rd, ahead of the
Okay.
board meeting, which is potentially on the 24th.
Right. And that is at 10 o'clock in the morning? 11
11,
o'clock in the morning? 11
tentatively,
a.m.? Okay.
very tentatively.
Okay, got it.
Excellent.
All right, thank
Thank you.
you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
Thank you for